DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hey, welcome to FLX Weekly here on Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. I'm Jim Sinicropi inside the FingerLakes1.com studios here in Seneca Falls, New York. And it's the last day of January, which means Valentine's Day is a couple weeks away. And today on Wine Wednesday's edition of FLX Weekly, we're joined as usual by Cayuga Lake Wine Trail Director Katherine Chase and also Marcia Klue from Buttonwood Grove Winery, where we'll be tasting and talking about Pet-Nat wine and bubbly wine and wines for Valentine's Day, but more specifically Pet-Nat. It's kind of a up-and-coming thing in the wine industry and some pretty interesting things. I'm sure a lot of people have heard Pet-Nat, but they might not know what it is or what makes it Pet-Nat. So we'll be touching on all that stuff. Going to be a great show. But first, this edition of FLX Weekly is brought to you by Go NetSpeed. The future of connection is here, and it's fiber. Made for how we live and work today, Go NetSpeed fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. Check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at gonetspeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. And also, Seneca Falls Acupuncture. Get your glow back at Seneca Falls Acupuncture. Gorgeous skin is rooted in good health and internal balance. Tap into the power of cosmetic acupuncture to maintain healthy, beautiful skin no matter your age. Learn more and book online at SenecaFallsAcupuncture.com. And programming note, we will have Seneca Falls Acupuncture here in studio 2 weeks from now, I think, for FLX Weekly, where we'll do a live acupuncture right here in studio. So mark your calendars for that. So Katherine, welcome back. Marcia, welcome back. You've been here before.
I have. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come in. It's always a good time to come in and talk about what's going on at Buttonwood Grove.
And Buttonwood Grove, one of my favorites. Anybody that's lives within probably 10, 15, 20 miles of it, it's a great opportunity to get out in the summer, especially. There's always something going on. It's a great spot for live music. There's a great view of the lake. And I do like the wine a lot. I like the Buttonwood Cab Franc. It's one of my regular bottle of wine that you'll find at my house. So good to have you in. We're going to talk Pet-Nat specifically. And you brought in a couple of bottles of wine, and this is the Riesling and the Pet-Nat Riesling. And they both started with the same grape, but they turn out so different. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to taste it. We even have a little treat here. I think it's a Blackberry Brie Bite, so going to be a good show. But first off, Pet-Nat wine. Now, you open this bottle of wine, you just cracked the cap, and it started bubbling up like it was New Year's Eve, coming out, and so you had to let it kind of just get a little loose, and then finally we were able to open it and pour it. But it was definitely fun to see, and again, a lot of people probably don't know what Pet-Nat wine is, so why don't you start off by just giving us an overview?
Sure. So Pet-Nat, really trendy thing in a lot of regions, especially here in the Finger Lakes for the last few years, getting more and more popular. So Pétillant Natural is a really ancient style of making a sparkling wine. Pretty much predates any other style that we can discover history on. Basically, you put the partially fermented wine into the bottle, put a crown cap on it, wait a bit, a few weeks, couple months maybe, and see what happens. The fun thing about it is it's really rustic. If you notice, there's a lot of sediment still in the bottle. And it's cloudy. If you look in the glass, you'll see it's not a clear wine. It's very cloudy, but that gives it really nice texture, really nice flavors. The fun thing about Pet-Nat is that really no two bottles are exactly alike. So the bottle that I opened here right before we started went all over the place. Some do, some don't. It's just each one is so unique. Their flavor is usually really consistent, but that amount of bubble you just never know.
I think I recall from a past Pet-Nat lesson that I've had that they're actually more bubbly than the Champenois method. Is that correct? Or am I starting rumors?
They can be. The bubbles are, it varies from style to style and bottle to bottle. They're actually a little bit trickier sometimes to produce a decent Pet-Nat than you might think. It seems easy. Stick it in the bottle, see what happens. And yeah, that is how it works. But to get one that's actually delicious and drinkable, you have to know what you're starting with. And that can be a little bit tricky. If you go on our social media pages and go back a week or so, you'll see us bottling the next vintage of our Cabernet Franc Pet-Nat, because we do several. We do a red one as well.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really good. And it's fun to watch it being bottled because you see all that fizz in there.
This is 2021 vintage, right?
It is
And
2021.
so does it will it normally sit for a couple years, or is it ready to drink as soon as it's
drink
bottled?
now. These are drink now things, although
You can
they
see
will.
the sediment there at the bottom that she was talking about, at the bottom of that bottle there.
And do not shake it to mix it up before
Right.
you open it.
Yeah,
That's
my
what your
drive-in
instinct wants to
probably
do.
made that one a little more active than normal. But 2021 was a bit of a cooler growing season here, so the Rieslings have beautiful acidity, and we had a really lot of grapes that year, so quite a fair amount of 2021 vintage out there.
Should we taste it?
Yeah,
Obviously.
So as you said, it's cloudy. I have a glass of Riesling we're going to taste as well, just for contrast. You can see the difference. I suppose someone that had no idea what Pet-Nat wine was and pulled this out, they might have thought, geez, maybe this has gone bad or something.
that
They'll
has
see the
happened.
sediment.
When we first introduced it, the first one we introduced, we brought out actually in, I think, February of 2020. So we didn't really have an opportunity to talk to customers in person a whole lot during the spring of 2020 and tell them what to expect. But we put it on our online storefront and we're shipping it out. And people called and said, what is this, right? Now, 4 years in, especially our customer base is much more familiar with it, and they rarely ask if something is wrong with it because of it being cloudy.
The aroma, you can smell the Riesling.
You can. I smell a lot of herbs in this, if you notice, which is we don't get in our Rieslings too often, but this one seems to have quite a lot of actually oregano, basil kind of aromas once it opens up a little bit.
It is so fizzy.
It is. It,
Second you
so
put it in
good.
your mouth,
it
it's
covers
like
your
hopping
tongue with
around.
fizz.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about a Pet-Nat is they're a really accessible, usually an affordable wine, and that's really nice for Valentine's Day. It used to be that 20 or 30 years ago, sparkling wine or champagne was just for special occasions, but now they're super accessible and affordable. You can have them every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of grapefruit.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, great, delicious. A little more straight wine than champagne, I guess. That might be.
Yeah, I don't always get quite the complexity, the amount of different layers of flavor. Sometimes, depending on the wine, but mostly I get on this just a little bit of yeasty aromas too, because the yeast is still in the bottle. So you do get a little bit of that baking bread aroma, very slight in this one.
It is
It's
delicious.
pretty acidic too.
Yeah, the acids on this are 2021 was a cooler growing season, so the acids are right up there, nice, gives it lots
love
of nice
it.
Go
structure.
great with seafood.
Yeah.
Could go great with a chicken Alfredo. Yeah.
Goes great by itself. It's really sippable, even though it's so fizzy. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's fun to drink.
Packs a punch. Yeah,
is.
packs a
Yeah, it's a
punch.
lot of
You
fun.
lose-
It's not sweet at all for a Riesling. I mean, it's not quite 1% residual sugar on this. So
So forced carbonation, how exactly does that work? Like when it's bottled, like
So
It's
for
like
that
one,
one,
two, pop, and you're.
It's like soda. It's like how they do sodas.
yeah. So the other Riesling, the Riesling bubbly, the glass next to it, is the forced carbonation Riesling. So that is a very different process. We make a still wine, our typical Riesling. We have actually 9 Rieslings at Buttonwood Grove this season right now. But we take a still wine, and then it's forced carbonation. It's injected carbon dioxide.
So yeah, we have it right here. It's the 2021 bubbly Riesling from Buttonwood, and you can see here, taking a look, that it looks like a Riesling, and but it is carbonated.
Yep. Sweeter than the other Riesling, which is why we're trying that second.
It has a completely different aromatic profile.
Right.
It does.
And this is very citrusy on my nose.
Yep. And do you get the lychee on this? I do. A lot of lychee in the nose.
And I think you mentioned these are from the exact same vineyard, correct? The Riesling grapes?
They're from around our various vineyards. We have Riesling in several different areas of our farm, but they're from the same vintage year,
It
right?
is delicious.
So
But yeah, same grapes off the vine. come
Same
up with
grape.
2 totally different.
Same year.
Products.
2 different products.
It's almost feels flat compared to all the fizz in the Pét-Nat.
It's a much gentler bubble
It
on
is,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, if you just drink the Pét-Nat,
Yeah.
you would think this is just straight Riesling,
would,
not
yeah.
bubbly Riesling.
Yep,
It's
but it's softer bubbling.
It has the crisp of the bubbles.
yeah, very subtle.
That's good.
Delicious. Both
the
are
residual
delicious in
sugar on
different
this one?
ways.
The residual on this is about 3%.
Okay, that's-
So we're pairing this weekend
Okay.
for the event with our Blackberry Brie Bites.
Okay, a wee little bite here.
Quick
Yep.
thing, so this weekend the Cayuga Lake Wine Trail is having its 3rd annual Sweet Treats for Your Sweetheart event. So it is Valentine's or Galentine's centric. Each of the wineries will have a sweet treat. Buttonwood has this Blackberry Brie Bite, which is nice because it has a little bit of the savory with the sweet, so it's not a pure cookie or brownie. And it's a unique way to pair wines with desserts for your after dinner
Finger food,
snack. Yeah,
And sparkling wine,
of course.
of course, for Valentine's Day. So
I'm going to try it.
They smelled good when I put them on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just watch you eat it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love the way that Riesling goes with the crust.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah,
brie,
that's
or
my favorite.
goat cheese in here, right? Or is it brie?
So,
Brie.
well, let me
could be
clarify
either.
that because this weekend it will be Brie.
Okay.
But we made up of just a couple of these to bring into the studio, and we didn't have the Brie yet. So we used a Chev from Lively Run Dairy and mixed it with honey to mimic the softer, slightly sweeter.
I love honey
taste of
goat
brie.
cheese.
Yeah, and so it's actually a similar flavor.
There's some herbs in
profile.
here too, I see.
Yeah, it's really good. That's actually really good with the
Just
the
one doesn't sound like enough.
I'm going to try a bite with the Pét-Nat. No. Wow, it's been in the glass now for 20 minutes and it still is.
But you don't really think of
Busy.
pairing sparkling wine with dessert
Not really.
all the
no.
time.
Yeah.
But it's actually really, really nice with something like this because this does have a little touch of savoriness to
Yeah,
it.
And the puff pastry is a little salty.
The puff
right? Which
pastry has
goes
the
with
salt.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like sparkling wines with white chocolate.
Okay.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
So
That's delicious. It's so interesting. And I guess it's exemplary of the process of winemaking, how the art of it, like you say, starting with the same grape from the same vine and being able to produce different things. And, this is a perfect example for it. They're both delicious, they're just different. Like, what are you in the mood for? And yeah, and so Pét-Nat is, like I said off the top, it's something that you hear more and more. I didn't remember hearing anything about Pét-Nats 5 years ago. Now you hear it all the time.
Yeah, more and more wineries are doing that method. I think, well, a few years ago we did with the wine trail different wine months, and one month was sparkling wine. And I dove deep into the research on champagne, sparkling wine, etc. And this Pét-Nat was kind of, I think if I recall correctly, an accident. When they were just trying to make wine, I think they over fermented it and it got bubbly, if I recall. Unless I'm thinking of the Champenois method.
Yeah, we did. Our Pét-Nats were an intentional thing, but I know that it has happened.
Yeah,
with
I think
wineries who
that's
have-
how it was first discovered back in
Yes,
in the old day, we'll call it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I can't
no.
remember the year, 1500s or whatever it might be.
correct.
It was an accidental discovery, and boy, am I thankful for that accident, because it's
Yeah, right.
delightful.
And this is not filtered at all,
Mm-hmm.
so
That's why you get the sediment.
that's why you have that sediment in there. There are other methods of making that a little more commercialized, I guess, where people do some filtering or disgorging. In a typical champagne, which of course we can't call anything champagne here in the Finger Lakes or anywhere else, but those are disgorged, and all that sediment is frozen and brought to the neck and popped out, and then it's perfectly clear. And so that's one of the pieces, one of the steps that's missing in a Pét-Nat that leaves that cloudiness, but it also adds to all the complexity of the flavor.
And I guess the fun, if you're looking, because you don't know exactly what you're getting. So a Buttonwood Cab Franc bottle, everyone's the same. Delicious. That's one of my favorite day-to-day wines here locally. But you could have 3 bottles of this Pét-Nat, and each one would have its own characteristics, a little different.
Yeah, it would be subtle. The biggest difference between bottles is the amount of sediment in the bottom and how lively they are when you open them. Flavor profile is going to be the same. They came from the same lot of wine. It's going to be pretty consistent. The differences would be subtle enough that most people wouldn't notice them. But that big difference is in the activity when you open it.
Well, definitely interesting stuff. And we're going to talk about a few events coming up at Buttonwood. But I just got to ask you, for my perception, Buttonwood almost is a template for how to be successful in terms of, and I've been there more than a handful of times, and every time it's just a great experience. It's kind of like what people are looking for in, you go do wine tasting, but sometimes you want to just sit and relax and take it all in, the lake country, the wine country. And to me, Buttonwood has the comfortable lawn. You're bringing your own chairs a lot of the times. You don't have to. There's also some seating, but with an overview of the lake, a nice little stage for some live music, food truck, wine and drinks. It's just like you put all the pieces together, and it's been very, very popular.
Well, thank you. We really do like to make it feel like a home away from home. Like when you come, you're not just a random customer. You're our guest, just like you would be if you came into our home. And so I'm happy that comes through. We try really hard to keep our keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening, not just in the Finger Lakes, but nationwide, and stay ahead of the curve a little bit. And it seems like during COVID, people wanted to get out, and then when things opened up after COVID, people actually really liked that little bit of a slower pace and coming and spending time with us. And so we never went back to actual bar service other than like a wine trail event where
Right.
we need to do that for some of the time. But we still do seated service for some of that as well. But people just responded so well to the idea of coming in and being treated like a guest in your home. Here, have a seat. Let me pour you some wine. That it's working for us. We like it, and customer response has been great to
I
that.
feel a little bit more special that way.
Yeah,
You're not just a body at the bar.
yeah, and that will continue to be our business model, is to that more relaxed experience, and our servers are for the most part really highly trained. As the summer staff comes on, we do get some younger people, but we work really quickly on training them. We have several people on our staff with WSET training, which is the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. And we take a lot of pride in that, in not just being an event space where people come and relax, but actually producing really great wine and having staff that knows how to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that's the final kicker is that the wine is great. And again, I said it before, I love the Cab Franc, and it's red wines around here in the Finger Lakes don't get a lot of credit, and that's one that that I just go to
The Cab
time and
Franc
time
is
again.
really, really popular. We do a Cab Franc Pét-Nat.
Yeah, I'm going to be
as
interested
well.
to try that.
It's really delicious. We use our Cab Franc also for rosé, although this past season our rosé was a blend, but many years our rosé is straight Cab Franc. So again, same grape, lots of different ways to present that grape.
Yeah, that's fun. And when you do, every time I have gone to Buttonwood for when there's music out there on a Friday night or Saturday in the summer, you always run into people you know too, and you kind of, I mean, it's not like it's off the beaten path. It's just it is a little bit off the beaten path that goes. But for us in Seneca Falls, it's kind of really close. Just go down Route 89 and you're there. But it does feel a little bit like another world, and it's always been surprising to me. Not so much anymore, but the first few times I went, that I would see like 8 or 9 people that I knew in their little groups, and you can certainly take your group and make your own spot, and enjoy your own party, but you can also intermingle and see a lot of people. But it really is, I don't know if I'd call it the epitome of the Finger Lakes wine country experience, but they're offering something that I think is unique to Buttonwood that I think a lot of other wineries are trying to replicate now.
Well, thank you, and that's really flattering. We do have music coming again this summer. We've got a lot of bands booked. It starts the first weekend in July, so we'll hope to see you there. We got lots of great acts coming up. But the interesting thing is that people think the Finger Lakes only happens in the summertime, in the nice
Right.
weather, but actually we're a 4 seasons destination.
Yeah, so what's it like now in the winter?
We actually have a fair amount of people coming through all the time, even on weekdays. It's a really nice time to visit because it's slower,
Right.
so staff has a lot of time to interact with you. But we have events and things that go on all winter long, just like the Wine Trail event coming up this weekend. We have a book club that we've started for the winter, Books and Bottles, and so that's really fun. We had our first meeting on Sunday, and it was well attended, and 2 solid hours of really good literary discussion and a lot of laughter and super fun. You can check our website for that calendar of that going on. We've got coming up starting tomorrow, we have a scavenger hunt that's going on whenever you come in. Look for vouchers among the gift shop and among the wine bottles or wherever, and bring it up to the register to find out what you won with it. And the people that find those vouchers and bring them up to the register get entered in a drawing for a free cabin stay. So yeah, some really cool stuff going on.
And you guys are coming up on your 10th year, or this is your 10th year?
We're pretty excited about that, actually. And if you follow our social media, I've started Throwback Thursday every week of memories from our past 10 years. So Dave and Melissa Pittard bought the winery. May 20th is our official anniversary date. So we're in the works planning an event for that weekend, right before that, of some sort of an event. We've got it on the calendar, but we're still fleshing out the details. But all year we'll be looking back. It's super fun to go through and look at where we were 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and just kind of pull out those old pictures and say, wow, my hair wasn't quite this gray 10 years ago.
And
or
watching
things
his
like
kids
that.
grow, too.
The kids, yeah. Dave and Melissa have 3 kids. They only had 1 when they bought the winery, and he was a babe, a babe in arms. And now they have 3. And it's just a real good blast from the past. And it's been a whirlwind of a 10 years. I've been there the whole time. And
Well, that can happen in
it's been a
10 years.
whirlwind.
Yeah, it's And you mentioned May 10th. I mean, it's not that far away. I'm trying to give some people some hope around here. So it's like, I guess, October to Christmas, October 1st to Christmas would be about the same distance from now till May 1st. So there's hope, guys. Hang in there. And it's sunny out today, which is nice, a little sun. And that, I'm going to quickly run through the weekend weather because this would be a great weekend to hit the wine trails and, you know, hit up a couple wineries. It's going to be relatively a great weather weekend based on what we've been experiencing around here lately with the rain and the fog and the clouds. Friday, cloudy with a high near 34. Maybe a chance of some morning rain, a little breezy out of the north. And then Saturday, sunny with a high near 37. Sunday, sunny with a high near 36. And when it's sunny and 36, you're almost ready to put on the tank top around here in the winter. So a great weekend full of sun. And then when we head back to work, they're still expecting more sun with a high near 35. So I know it's been a long month of January. It got cold for a while. We got some snow, and we hadn't seen the sun in a while. But you might want to plan something to break out this weekend and get outside. And
Yeah, you never know what winter's going to throw at you.
yeah, we still got some left, but you know, on to February, Valentine's Day, and then you know, we're going to get there. So anyway, I appreciate you coming in and exploring the world of Pet-Nat wines with us and talking about Buttonwood. Congratulations on the 10-year anniversary.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to come in, especially and reach the hyper-local crowd, because that is the crowd that keeps us going during what we term sort of the off-season, is all the local folks. And you're right, that Seneca Falls is only about 15 minutes from Buttonwood Grove, and we have a pretty good Seneca Falls contingent that visits us
No doubt.
frequently, and we're happy to see them.
They're all Jim's friends.
They all watch the show.
That's great.
So, yeah, that's great, Catherine. Thanks again for setting things up here. And you mentioned one last time there is a Valentine's Day event coming up on the wine
Sweet Treats for Your
trail.
Sweetheart. It's this Saturday, Saturday only. Tickets are for sale until 10 a.m. tomorrow on CayugaWineTrail.com if you want a last-minute plan for this weekend.
2 weeks away, guys, so
Yep.
make your plans.
Get your Valentine's in early now, because then there's Super Bowl, so you can spoil your lady. Then you can have your Super Bowl the following weekend, because Valentine's is midweek.
And you can pick up some sparkling wine to celebrate your team's winning the Super Bowl, too. So there you go.
Yeah, and you can bring a bottle of Pet-Nat home and explain it and sound like an expert. Because I tell you, a lot of people, like I say, you see the name Pet-Nat, you don't know what that means, you don't understand it. Hopefully today's show shed a little light on that. So thanks for joining us, everybody, today for another edition of FLX Weekly. If you enjoyed the show, click like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back for our first show of February next Wednesday. Until then, have a great winter weekend right here in the Finger Lakes.